Headphone highlights. Hello. We got a little bit of a different format for our video today. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to be talking about a brand that I really like. This is going to be the first of a short series of videos. Because I want to highlight all of these individually because they're all great headphones and they deserve their own chance in the spotlight. So we're talking about Koss today. And to start on our Koss journey, we're looking at these. The PortaPros. You have maybe heard of them before? They are probably the most retro 80s thing that you can buy today. Look at the design of them is very 80s, very unique, very, well, I mean, it looks like something you get right out of a 1980s gas station back in the day. So it's an aesthetic that is going to be either something that sings to you or doesn't. And what I love about these is that more than many headphones, these are very much a sleeper of a headphone. They look cheap. They look like they would sound exactly like you would expect them to sound from, your gas station $2 headphone, but you'll be surprised. So let's take a quick look at the construction here. We have a plastic frame, and there are a couple other accents going on here. With our plastic frame, we also have a spring steel headband that goes up and around. It is adjustable right here in these little plastic bits. So you can push them together to make the headphone wider, or push them back down to make the headphone smaller. In terms of padding, we have a little bit of padding right here on the temple, and that kind of presses right against your ear, right about here-ish. It kind of helps where the headphone sits on your head. I extend the size of the headband, and now as you see, the headphone is sitting on my head. With this soft foam portion right kind of on my temple. It's not putting pressure there, it's just resting there. And then the pads themselves are a on-ear. So this is an on-ear headphone. But the pads themselves are very soft. They're very simple. They're just a foam pad that sits over the driver. They're just a simple foam pad that sits over the driver like so. There's not a whole lot to talk too much about. It's very simple. These are extremely pliable headphones, as you can see, so they're going to be able to withstand a lot of abuse. The driver kind of wobbles in its little very loose freeing design here, and that makes it really easy to kind of form fit to your head. And as well, in an attempt to make it even more customizable to your head shape, there is this little bar here, this comfort zone bar. And this bar lets you adjust the tension of your clamp force. That's really neat. And how that works is you have a firm, a mid, and a light clamp force. How that works is you move this little notch, and when you move it, it'll change the position of where this kind of arm of the driver will sit. When firm, it is very much pointing inward into the headphone, as you can see here. We have a very tight, clampy V, right? But if we adjust these down, let's go all the way with it. Let's go to a light position. And now they're a lot more straight. If we're looking at it this way, you'll see that it's a very straight shape going straight down from the tip of the headband here. So now the clamp force has gotten significantly lighter. There's still clamp force because it still has to hold onto your head, but making it light, I have hardly any pressure now on my ear. It's lovely. But if I want to have more clamp force so that I can get a bit more intimate with the sound, I can do that. And there you go. Now they are a little bit firmer. There is more clamp force, but those drivers are now hitting much more against my ear, and and I'm going to be getting a bit more from that sound. So the build looks flimsy. The build looks cheap, but it's remarkably well designed. The plastic on here is a fairly cheap plastic. If I show you the inside here, you'll see that it's kind of hollowed out. It's just like a mold. It's not that special, but it absolutely works. And then the spring steel headband, you know, it might be susceptible to some really extreme bending if you're not careful with it, but I'm not too worried about it, and I don't think you should be either. Just, you know, as long as you don't go sitting on these things, I think they'll be able to last you a very long time. A fun feature that these have is they are also very portable. PortaPros, it's in the name. And how they achieve that's really cool. So these actually do fold up, like so, making a nice little ring. And in this ring, there's also a clip right here where you can just clip it together like so. I'll even adjust this a little bit more. There. Look at that. One-handed, little round, portable headset. Or headphone, I mean. Cool. Very cool. Very portable. I dig it. Pop that back out. Ka-chink. And there we go. I would say in the construction, the possible downside you might face is that this headband has a limit to how big it can possibly get. I set this to the maximum limit, and it will fit me fine, but if my head was any bigger, it would probably be a little problem. So if you have I have a pretty big head, but if you have a huge head, that might be something to consider. If you have a very small head, I don't think you need to worry too much about it. These can get very small, but they're super neat. And what a cool little retro, simple design choices here that work. It's simple and it works. I dig it. Okay. There is a permanently attached cable. And you know how I feel about permanently attached cables in general. But you also know that if the price is right, I will excuse it. And I'm going to excuse it here because these are $40. Often less than that. They're easy to find for 40, 50 bucks at the most. I wouldn't spend more than $50 on them. But, you know, you can often find these for 20, 30 bucks. And it's fine. The cable itself is very, very simple. It's just a simple little rubbery cable. Not much to really show off here. And it does terminate at a not quite 90-degree right angle, but a right-angled 3.5mm plug there. And it does say on the end there, it does say Koss. Okay, so simple cable to go along with this simple design. So the comfort, silly as it may be, these are extremely comfortable. They're so light, they weigh nothing at all. They're just like having a little plastic toy in your hand. And because there's so many opportunities to adjust parts of the comfort, adjust your clamp force, adjust the size of your headband, I mean, it's hard for it not to be adjusted to a way where it will be comfortable for you. For me, I wear it with the firmest setting on the clamp force. The headband is almost to its extremist, and these feel great. I don't feel the headband at all, though I will add, because of the way the headband is designed, you might be susceptible to having it pinch your hair, so just be a little bit careful about that. I'm not worrying about it because I'm wearing a hat. Haha, it's a shield. But the way they sit on your ear, and usually I am not that much of a fan of on-ear headphones. I usually get fatigued by that. Not so with these. These, again, while they do have, at the firmest setting, fairly strong clamp force, it's such a nice distribution, and the pad of the driver is just the right size that, for me, it's not putting extra pressure on any one part of my ear. And then the little soft cushion part right here that's against the temple, it so very, very lightly touches your head that you barely even feel it, but it helps. It helps with the comfort. So nothing feels like it's poking and prodding me anywhere. Nothing feels like it's too much force or too pinchy. It feels great. They are extremely comfortable little headphones. In terms of our cloud comfort scale, I'm gonna put them way up there. These might be a solid 8. 8 clouds of comfort. They're awesome, awesome comfort for, you know, a silly little gas station garage design headphone, you know? It's very cool. The sound. These are remarkable. And it's why, if you look them up, you're gonna see so much praise. This is one of the best values you can get from a headphone. The price to performance here is nigh unbeatable. You know, you can get really great sounding IAMs at this price range. These will still blow them out of the water. They absolutely are fantastic. They sound better than headphones that are 5 times the price. It's amazing. Some of the characteristics you're going to get are just a warm, smooth, velvety, relaxed, and crazy enjoyable sound signature. It's very, very warm and inviting and pleasant, and it is just rich and dynamic and incredibly comfortable to listen to. Vocals are present, they're forward, but they're given this kind of smoothing to them. So male vocals in particular sound richer, they sound larger, and they sound more resonant. Female vocals are not losing in their clarity. They just round off a little bit, so not so sharp. There's not a whole lot of super high-end detail. Your treble range is recessed, so your high-end detail might be not as great as other headphones, but where they definitely shine is the low end. It's amazing how much quality low end you can get from such a small little driver like this. It is punchy, it is deep, it is dynamic. The bass extension is amazing for what we're getting here in this tiny little headphone. And it's very well controlled bass. It's not super blooming, it's not super in your face, it's not bleeding out too far into your mid-range. It's lovely, and it has this chest pounding resonance that you would expect from a much larger headphone. You know, something like a T60 maybe. You wouldn't expect to get something like that out of this tiny little headphone, and yet it can do it. The performance that these can provide is absolutely fantastic. And at the price to performance, it's unreal. It is amazing. It is a marvel. These are marvelous. And while these are a on-ear headphone, they are also a very open headphone. So I put these on, I can still hear everything in my room. I still hear my fan. I still hear the humming and buzz going around the house. But that provides pretty excellent soundstage. It may not be the widest soundstage, but it's very, very nice. It is a all-encompassing soundstage. I'm hearing things around me and above and below me. The imaging is very good. It might not be the most accurate imaging, but again, we're talking about a $30 headphone here. And for that, the imaging is amazing. With gaming, I'm able to pinpoint where action is coming from almost anywhere, in front of me, behind me, what have you. I feel very confident in where the sound is coming from and how honest it's being to me. So the imaging is fantastic. And coupled with the soundstage, you're getting a very large sound that's also very immersive and gives you this sense of space that, again, you would expect from a much larger headphone. They provide this sound that I can't stress enough surpasses their price range surpasses their overall look. These are sleeper headphones. They look like they would sound like a tin can, but they sound like, I mean, take your pick, right? They sound absolutely phenomenal, and you can't beat the price point for these. Where they are positioned, there's nothing else that can really compete with it outside of more Koss products, which we'll, talk about down the road. But man, these are an absolute delight and marvel. They're an absolute easy recommended buy for anyone. If you need a stocking stuffer for someone, if you need to buy someone a gift and the gift you are giving them is a taste of higher quality audio than what they've probably had their entire life, this is a really good way to start. I mean, this is one of those things that everyone should just own because it's so cheap. Just buy one and see if you like it, because odds are you're going to be pretty impressed. I certainly was, and it's why I recommend them to almost everyone I know, and I encourage people to just, here, try it. Here's a $20 gift card to Amazon, go buy yourself some PortaPros. It's amazing, and I think it's something that you shouldn't ignore, and something that everyone should and has the opportunity, because of the price point, to really jump into and try. I will also mention they're very easy to drive, which shouldn't be that surprising. However, I will say that while they do sound amazing on a solid state linear amplifier, where they really shine is a tube amp. My gosh, listening to these on a tube, it makes them sound even wider, it makes them sound even warmer, but also crisper, especially in the vocals and your treble range. Everything just has almost like it's bringing in a little bit more detail, which isn't usually the case with a tube amplifier, but for whatever reason, these just really shine on tubes. So yeah, the Koss PortaPros, they're incredible, they're amazing, and they're so cheap. There's very little excuse not to just try it. So I love these things. And yeah, so there's your first entry into our Koss playthrough, our little Koss playlist of videos that we're going to be building for the next couple of weeks. So Koss PortaPros, they're amazing. Jump on it, man. Don't you want to get into the jive? Don't you want to get into that retro 80s synthwave? Put on your neon glasses and your bright colored neon shirts and just get yourself in a DeLorean and fly off into space?